Buck. Check. I'm a son of a slave. Please don't give me free, but I can stomach the brave. When describing the country,
Sean and Sean talk about shit. Episode 2.
This is episode 2, season 2. We back.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I'm sorry, people, for the hiatus, but I got promoted and on my job, and I had to figure some things out with my new role as a leader and a manager, and I figured it out. And now I'm back. So,
Mazel tov, my brother.
Yeah,
Mazel
no
tov.
doubt. Thank you. So we're gonna get right into it, man. We talk about reparations all the time on this show.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And now the state of California is the only state to appoint a task force to figure out the history of what happened during slavery and how Black people have been held back, is the nicest way I can say it, since the year 1619 to now. The report has come out. It broke yesterday, and no shock to what they found. We've been held back by a systematic setup, and
Yes.
they are now talking about moving this forward in California. What do you think,
Indeed.
brother? Do you think that what California is doing, other states will follow?
I do think other states will follow, and I want to say that the idea that, first of all, held back is a really pretty political way to phrase it.
It's a nice way of saying it. Yes.
I'd like to say tethered to the bottom rung, right? Is like my way of looking at it. And I think it would be is prudent that we mention that the idea of recommending that the descendants of enslaved people in America be the recipients of reparations was given to them via Antonio Moore, because he is from California. He speaks on this issue a lot. He's from the ADOS Foundation.
Okay. The ADOS, which reminded people what that stands for.
It stands for American Descendants of Slavery. They are vouching for, or they are requesting that reparations be paid to the descendants of slavery and people who were in the country at a specific portion of time.
Okay, so I got this pulled up. I want to read a few key points to the findings that this task force came up with. California, first in the nation, reparations task force is calling for reparations for centuries of mistreatment of Black residents. Okay, that's a pretty loose term too. Residents. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. The report is the most detailed examination of the governmental and societal failures towards Black Americans since the 1968 Kerner Commission. The panel will unveil a pathway for reparations when it finishes its term next year. So,
Yeah.
with those three things being mentioned, are you surprised about anything they found? I mean, who do you think is paying attention to this that needs to be paying attention to it?
Well, everybody should be paying attention to it. And then just think about the way that they put the term residents, right?
Yes.
Because they put Black residents because it's this idea amongst some Black people that everybody who got melanin deserves some sort of reparations, and that's not factual. If we are basing reparations on racism and maltreatment, then that means that anybody who has ever been in part of an immigrant group in America will be entitled to those same reparations. We are talking about reparations for building the country for free. That's what it's for. It's the maturation of a loan is what it is.
Okay. I'm feeling that. So, say the findings come out, the findings are starting to leak, and this task force, based around members of the ADOS, they come up with the reparations that would be fair. Do you see the other states buying it eventually?
There's a lot that has to happen, Sean. Like, states will buy into the idea of reparations once it's positioned the way that it should be positioned,
Mhm.
right? But in that, there's a lot that comes with that. First, and kind of clearly, is our ethnic identity, right? Once you ethnically identify Black Americans as their own group of people, right, their own ethnic group, because we are, right, then you can disaggregate all the numbers and see how captivity affected us, right? Slavery affected us up until now. Other groups of people don't have that same story. They can come from the same point, maybe 1950s, right? Maybe 1930s, right? But they don't have that same reference as like from being tethered from the beginning until now.
Okay.
So once they do that, once they recognize the ethnic identity, it's easy to disaggregate the numbers and then say, okay, I see who needs to be who needs to be made whole. But that's not a state thing, though. That is a federal thing. Like the federal government has to step in and say, we are responsible because our sovereign states affected some of our sovereign citizens. And then the federal government steps in and creates a pot for us.
Do you see the federal government stepping in?
As long as there's bipartisan government, no.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that for the people in the back. As long as there's bipartisan government, I don't think that reparations will be provided by the federal government.
So what do you think about this task force? Is it one of those things that was put out there to make a point? Was it one of those things that was put out there to actually do something? Or was it one of those things that was put out there just to act like they're trying to tame the masses, which is us as Black people?
I spend a lot of time on Twitter. I saw their whole thing developing. And from what I can see, it looked like there was some funding that was happening, right? Yeah. They were talking down on some ideas that was by the ADOS Foundation, right? And then they tried to co-opt those same ideas. But now I think that they don't understand how much what they were doing is going to backfire, right? It's going to show exactly what the foundation was telling them at the beginning, right? They didn't even have to put this commission together because they had a group of people who already told them what the scenario was.
Okay. So cool. So yeah, the conversation is becoming more active. Yes. Like I said to you earlier, when I think about Black people and our advancement in this country, I think about that scene from the 10 Commandments where the Jewish slaves were pushing that gigantic block through the mud, and straw was supposed to be putting straw and stuff in front of the brick was supposed to be how they moved it along, make it smooth enough to move it along anyway. But it was like an all-day event to move it 10, 20 feet, and that's how I see us in this country. We push along and things are slowly, and will we ever benefit from it? Who knows? But at least it's a conversation that's being had right now. And I applaud the state of California for at least taking it serious enough to put out the funding to have a serious task force and not just have people on a task force that have no idea how to even deal with it, or what, like I would expect some states to appoint this task force and put a bunch of white people on it, just being blunt. There are some states that are just completely tone deaf.
Well, I think it's imperative that any states that participate in reparations conversation have descendants of American chattel slavery, an overabundance of them on their panel. If you don't, then you're doing yourself a disservice because you're trying to get people who aren't affected by the same injury, right, to like kind of basically feel bad for the injury, right? Imagine you never broke your leg before and somebody's like, oh man, I feel like people with broken legs should get X, Y, and Z, right? Like you may have a feeling that, and not everybody who, what I'm saying, that could be a thing. So yeah, I feel like that's imperative.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the heartbreaking month of May when it comes to gun violence in the United States of America. We'll be right back.
Submissive to obligatory change. His story never changed. The history shall remain. We blame the bishops on the pew, tutors in the school.
Welcome back. Sean and Sean talk about
Welcome
shit.
back, y'all.
We talking about it. And I want to talk a little bit about gun violence in America and the heartbreaking events that happened in the month of May. There was a shooting of black people in Buffalo. And while they were shopping in their neighborhood supermarket, a kid drove 3 hours from his home and landed in Buffalo and shot a supermarket up full of black people, killed a lot of people, mass shooting. And then last week there was it last week or was it the week before last? The time just flies. I believe it was last week. Mm-hmm. There was a shooting in Uvalde, Texas with at an elementary school where 20 people were killed. Mostly children, 2 teachers, and just mass shootings they've always been out of hand, but now it seems like they never take any prisoners. But it's just a dark time in this country. And as we as citizens of this country are calling for not so much a ban on these weapons, but at least some kind of restriction that makes them more difficult to purchase, the opposition has the nerve to fight it. Like, what do you got to say about that, Sean?
I mean, first of all, to all of those who lost family members, my heart goes out to you. For everybody that passed, may their memories all be for a blessing. But then there's 2 that like happened recently, like LA was a couple days ago. And then the Tulsa hospital was just yesterday. Mm-hmm. So I think that is like, it's important that we understand, like, gun violence is going to persist in America because the Constitution has been misinterpreted to tell people that they should just have guns in order to kill people who live around them, right? That's not a real thing. It's never been real. The Second Amendment does not say you got the right to bear arms, period. Right? It's literally for the reinstitution of government just in case it begins to go awry. Right? But remember, man, George Washington said if we are a bipartisan country, right, and we start to vote on our affinity spaces, then we lose the idea of country, and it allows for people who mean harm for the citizens to be able to infiltrate the government.
Mm. So speaking of George Washington and flash forwarding from him to our current leadership, I can't believe that they're actually like not wanting to move on this at the behest of the people. If you work for the people, if you serve the people, and this is something that's a major issue, why aren't you trying to solve it? But then I think about like when they got shot, when there was a mass shooting at their softball event that they were practicing for. A guy showed up 3-4 years ago, showed up to their practice event when they were getting ready for their annual senators, congressmen softball game, and he opened fire on them while they were practicing. And that wasn't enough for them to change the law. So I ask you, Sean, if they were not changing the law for something that directly involved them, how can we expect them to do anything for us?
Because people don't shoot at the Senate all the time. They don't live in that space where gun violence is a reality for them on a daily basis. That's not something that they step into when they put on their shoes in the morning. It's similar to people not understanding how violence happens, the proximity violence happens in Black communities, right? Where you have people who have guns in order to protect themselves from people who have guns, right? Are around in spaces, and then altercations occur where people feel powerful because they have a gun, and then that leads them, right, to speaking with this piece of equipment, right? It's the same thing when we see it in these mass shootings in these white spaces. It's the same thing. They have bigger guns and they have access to be able to walk around with them, right? So when you in one of these spaces where that's the norm, they are not alarmed when you're walking around with this weapon. So when you do open fire, the only thing people do is go, man, we should have seen this coming, or that person has some mental health stuff. Like, but let's not forget though, also, right? Buffalo was Black people. He literally went to the descendants and was like, here is your reparations on his buttstock.
Yeah.
Right. His handguards have all of the derogatory names that white people have been calling Black people since English has been spoken in America.
Yeah.
Right. We got to understand, like, violence is what it is, and gun violence is what it is, and we have to be responsible about all of it, right? And we have to really look at the laws that we putting forth.
Yes, I agree. So it's one of those things, like we were talking earlier off record, and I'll bring it into this, like, but these weapons, they go out of their way to make sure these weapons cannot be used in the hunting of animals. And no, you never hear anything about anybody hunting a deer with an AR-15. You know, you don't hear, and they don't do it, and they won't do it. You know, people won't do it because there's laws that stop them from doing it. There's laws that prevent people from mass shooting, supposed to be. But what do you think is the difference? Like, do people really only give a fuck about animals and not us? Like what is the deal?
Bill Clinton signed the law like banning assault rifles, right? That shit went down about 243%.
Right.
The moment that law was supposed to be reinstated, right? Congress didn't reinstate it because the gun lobby had become powerful, right? So you don't reinstate the law. Now you can sell these weapons, and that's why they say cute names like AR-15 when they talk about it, because they want you to make it sound like it's a civilian weapon. It's an M4. Right. Like if you called it an M4, how then would that sound, right? When we deployed, that's what we was shooting with.
Right.
So now I'm telling you that the police got M4s, the military got M4s, and you say this civilian got an M4, it sounds like you shouldn't have it as a civilian.
It does. Yeah. I can't get it. They're not going to let me buy a military style Humvee.
No.
And just roll it around. Like, they're not.
You could, but it'll be knocked down though. It's going to be, they're not going to be able to call it a military grade Humvee.
Right. Exactly.
You did?
Yeah. But this weapon was developed for the specific role of war. It was developed to be used in war. And I think that we honestly got to look at the stores that are selling these things, selling these things, like the kid in Tulsa, the guy in Tulsa yesterday, he bought his weapon that day. He bought it yesterday and he went to a hospital and used it.
You got to also remember, man, like, because America glorifies copycats, right? They glorify the violence because every one of these people that go out and do these shootings that end up getting taken to jail know that somebody gonna call, I want to do the story, he's gonna pay these money. That's a thing. That's an actual business in America.
Yeah, we have an affliction for violence. How many documentaries are there about Ted Bundy on and John Wayne Gacy on Netflix right now? You
don't even have to get that deep. My wife likes she's a board certified behavior analyst, right? So she deals in human behavior. She has me watch. She watches a lot of these shows. I like to call them murder TV, right? But it's like criminal television shows, right?
Yeah.
These are just regular people who just decide to start killing people.
Yeah.
Right. Like, people know that you're gonna make it on these shows. So like, if we stop glorifying the violence, like, how does it look if people know that that's not gonna ever be a part of the conversation?
Right.
Does that deter it a little bit? Maybe. We don't know until we try.
Yeah, it's just a crazy thing, and I hope that our leadership will find enough gumption to at least try to do something. Like, you need to do something, not try. Something needs to be done, and if you are the people that can do it, I don't have the ability to do it outside of voting. But if you're in there and it's your duty to protect the people of this country and the children of this country and the senior citizens of this country and everybody. It's not fair for me to have to worry about my daughter every time she goes to school every day, sure. or because there might be a mass shooting, because it's the end of the school year and some senior might not have liked his 4 years at the school and he might come in the last day and do some crazy shit. It's just stuff that you're forced to think about. Forced to think about the worst thing possible. And it's up to our leadership to end that or to ease that. Take the steps to ease that. And I'd like to think that they would be considering it, but I don't think they are.
They're not, man. They are. They're not. And the problem with them not considering it is that we have to deal with the consequence they're in. Yeah. They're with, right? That's what we end up with. We end up having to deal with the consequence. And then I'm over it, bro.
Yeah. It's almost like when you talk about slavery, in the reparations, like we were talking about earlier, they did what they did to us. They did what they did to our ancestors, and they've systematically set up something so that we struggle. And now that we have found out that it's an absolute viable thing, they're like, oh, well,
that's
deal with it. And that's not fair. And that's what's happening with these mass shootings. So, but we're going to take a break and we're going to come on back and we're going to talk a little bit about something lighter. The NBA finals start tonight. The Golden State Warriors versus the Boston Celtics. We'll be right back.
On our way to a land where tragedy's close. Post arrival, no survival when matters the most. It's Master praying for MAGA, the dagger to the throat. Word.
Hey, Sean and Sean talk about shit.
Sean and Sean are still talking about shit.
Yep. Hottest show in the region.
Yeah.
You don't know the region, so it could be all of them. So it's all of them.
Yes,
sir. Hottest show in the region. We back. So tonight, the NBA finals kick off. Boston Celtics versus the Golden State Warriors. Two teams that are from the beginning of the founding of the NBA. And it's going to be a very highly contested, highly rated. You got two major cities going at it. Last year there was a bit of a fall off in ratings because the small market team was in it. The Bucks. Who did the Bucks play?
I don't know.
They beat them. Whoever they played, they beat them, right?
They won.
Yeah, they won. And in the year that Toronto was in it, it was also it was Toronto versus Golden State, who had a bunch of people hurt. But that was also a lowly watched in the ratings. But this year, with these two cities in the finals, it's going to be good. Who you got?
Well, you know me, Sean, and you know how I feel about the NBA. You know that I think it's a nice scripted series. I know that Golden State is going to win the championship. Steph Curry is going to win the finals MVP, right? But Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown will show you that they are the next generation of hoopers to be messed with on the East Coast.
They superstars, man. Those two are superstars.
People forget when Jason Tatum got drafted, I said, man, anybody who could have drafted him that did not lost out. The dude was a monster. He had such a quiet talent coming from Duke. I'm okay. All right.
Yeah.
I think the Golden State Warriors are gonna win it though.
You think they're gonna be too much? Because Boston is physically bigger and longer. And they can wear you down on defense. Boston's defense is excellent, but I don't know that they have an answer for the stop and pop that the Splash Brothers can do.
Not only is it that, right, but they run a lot of screens. They do a lot of double, triple screens like that.
Yes.
The elevator doors, that shout out to Mark Jackson, but the elevator doors, right?
Yes.
That is a real actual thing that people can't stop because it's a real NBA play. Like it's real coaching.
Yes.
And in as much as Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can get loose from deep and they can do all of that, but they got to get started first. Right. Golden State's whole team can just start going at the beginning of the game.
Their bench is super deep too. Like sometimes they start Poole, sometimes they bring him off the bench. No matter what, the kid gets 25. That's like no matter what. Like
you're guaranteed.
If you start him, he might get 38. Like if you come off the bench, you still get 25. Like how do you stop that? Like,
And look,
I believe this series hinges on Draymond, though. If Draymond can stay out of foul trouble, we know he can't keep his mouth shut.
mm-hmm.
Can he stop from being ejected from the series, though?
He'll have a problem in Boston.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The games that the first game that they play in Boston, they probably gonna throw him out the game,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying Boston does not have an answer for Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, you got a whole team of people who really can still get off. People give Andrew Wiggins a whole bunch of crap, but he really got some games though.
He does right? Got game. Yes.
And I don't know if Gary Payton II is still
he's out
still
hooping. He's out. He's not gonna play.
All right. So I mean, but I don't watch basketball, but I have been seeing some of the NBA stuff. But the NBA needed this game to bring back the love of the NBA that people had back in the 90s.
Yeah, this is the series they needed. Even if Miami would have made it, it still would have been a good series, I think. But the fact that they definitely got these two cities back into the game, I think is very good for the game, and I think it's going to be amazing for the series. I just can't wait to see how this whole thing goes up. And the jump off is tonight. We'll see what happens. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, they can't be guarded. The only thing that stops them is an off shooting night. If they have an off shooting night, you got a chance. But nobody plays defense on them. You can't. Like, have you seen it?
Yes.
I mean, like I've seen them miss shots, but if they're cold, they're cold. But it's more likely they're going to be hot.
I can tell you this. If Chris Jackson would have never turned his back on the American flag at that game, right, when he changed his name to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf,
mm-hmm.
Steph Curry would be the numbers that Steph Curry would be second place shooting right now. Because he was what Steph Curry is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Back then.
Okay.
And I know that he was unguardable. Steph Curry the same way, G.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Well, we got our picks in. I'm going for Golden State, but I wouldn't be surprised if Boston pulled it off. I wouldn't.
They won't. Y'all not going to win, Boston.
Surprised. But we got our picks. We both Golden State, and we'll talk about it as the series goes on, as it pushes on. We'll take a break. We'll come back and wrap things up. Welcome back, Sean and Sean Talk About Shit.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and people of everybody. Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up our show here today. Kind of a short show, but we'll get back into our regular format as we record. But I just wanted to talk about some stuff. So we just got this 23andMe thing back from my family.
Right. Okay.
Well, my sister did it, and she got the results back. So I'm assuming that applies to all of us. Right.
I'm with it.
So we found out that our country, our ancestors are from Benin, which is a country in West Africa. And it is a really cool country that I'm finding out about. I really didn't know anything about it. But it's really cool to see where you come from. We also have a stake from Sierra Leone, and it's really interesting. I don't know if I want to go to either place to visit. It is something that I would consider, but it's an 18-hour flight, and goodness. I don't know about that. I don't know about the 18-hour flight if I don't have to. They speak French there. I'm really excited about that because I've always had a French connection. I spoke French in high school. I spoke French in middle school. I spoke French in elementary. I should know a lot more French though, but I do know keywords and I can have a basic conversation in French. And like I said to you earlier, knowing where my ancestors come from and that they speak French, it completely explains why I can say étouffé flawlessly, like just flawless. And I'm really excited to know more about my history and where I come from. She said my father's side showed some 15% British, but we don't care about that. So I'm just excited. I'm giddy, and I'm just happy to know a little bit about where my family comes from and where my ancestors came from. and where we started, you know.
That's flame. I think it's always dope when people find out, things about their genealogy.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, it should instill some type of passion in you. I know that my family, we haven't done our 23andMe. I was thinking about it the other day. Well, some people in my family have, but I was thinking about the other day, the phrase Black Power, right, was first uttered as a political statement in Greenwood, Mississippi, right? And that's where my family is from. That's LaFleur County, right?
The home of Black Power. Look at that.
Yeah, you dig. So I know that LaFleur County at one time hung the most Black folks out of any county in the state of Mississippi, which hung the most out of any state in the United States, which hung the most out of any country in the world. So that's the stock I came from. You dig?
Yeah, I'm feeling you, bro. And that like Kanye said, with that in your blood, you was born to be different.
You already know that.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's just interesting. I hope that you do take part in this, in the 23andMe or whatever you need to do, whichever program you pick. Because I'd be interested to hear you reveal that on this show. I want to hear that. I want you to have the same like pride that I'm feeling right now.
Sure.
We also found out through the report that we are related to Nelson Mandela, which is cool. And that
is wild.
Also explains why I am able to sit by myself in dark rooms for long periods of time and not be bothered.
That's the thing, Sean.
Yeah, it explains it. So I am happy. This is going to be a great start to the weekend. But Benin is also the home of voodoo. Voodoo was created there. So there, they also have a throne of skulls that the king used to sit on. So, nobody's perfect, but it is one of them things,
that might not even be something bad. That might just been, made bad by the white American Christian cats that went there. Was like, this is bad. We need y'all to be slaves.
That's true. That's very true. But yeah, it's one of those things. I encourage people to look into their ancestral background, just because it's something that we haven't always been able to do. And now that we can do that, now that the technology has come so far, and we are able to trace at least to the part of Africa that our ancestors came from. It's a beautiful thing. And it's just something that makes you want to try harder and go harder,
That's real.
And so I hope that everybody takes part in something like that. And if you're listening, government, part of the reparations should be free 23andMe's.
I mean,
give us that. Like, don't make us like you gave us COVID tests. It's a lot to unpack right there,
Sean. It's a lot to unpack right there. It's a lot to unpack.
Go ahead and get us so we know where we come from. Like, every white person I know can trace their origins back to wherever they came from, unless they were like in a broken home or in the system. And, it came up through foster care. They might not know, but a lot of the white people, they can trace it all the way back to Ireland. They can trace it back to Scotland. Sure. They can trace it back to England. They can trace it back wherever they want without even stuttering.
Without the question. Oh, back in 17.
Yeah.
I can say this though, man. Find out where your family come from if you can. You dig. Now, it's knowledge. Knowledge is power, and it's beauty in knowing. If you are from a descendant family, just know that 1950 census just got released, and it's kind of cool. If you look at it, you can see some of your family members on it. You dig. So, and that gives you that knowledge, that gives you the passion to understand where you came. You came from captivity. So, or maybe, your family immigrated before civil rights was a thing. So it's knowledge and it's power in that knowledge. So go find out. Y'all be cool. You dig.
Absolutely. And one more thing before we go, I want to talk a little bit about music. 30 seconds. Kendrick's album is amazing, but do not sleep on Pusha T. Don't sleep on it. It's almost dry. Don't sleep on it. All right. That's all I want to say.
I'm with it.
You got anything, brother?
I'm it, man. Hey, I love y'all. There's nothing you can do about it, man. Sean and Sean have started talking about shit again.
Yep. Yep, shit's gonna pile up. So we will be back next week.
Yeah.
And we hope to hear from you, hope to see from you, or not see from you. What's wrong with me? But we hope to, we hope you guys keep listening and keep spreading the word. All right, we love you, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Peace.